You're listening to Witch Wednesdays, your weekly podcast source for all things witchcraft in the modern world.
Welcome back to Witch Wednesdays. I'm Steph, and you are listening to this quick episode on pagan origins of Thanksgiving. So I am losing my voice a little bit. So this is going to be a short episode, but there's also not that much to say about Thanksgiving. And I know that people are either partying today because it's called Blackout Wednesday, or they are traveling, they have plans with their family. We are getting into shopping season, so we're just doing a short episode today so everybody can get to celebrating. Now, I want to say if you do not recognize and celebrate Thanksgiving, that is perfectly okay, because as I hope we all know, the story that we've been given about Thanksgiving in America is definitely whitewashed and considered this happy story about pilgrims settling and having the first Thanksgiving in 1621 with the Native Americans to celebrate their survival. But as we all know, that's not at all what happened. It was bloody mass genocide, stealing of land from Native Americans. So a lot of people do not recognize this holiday for various good reasons. In America, this Thanksgiving was made a permanent holiday by President Lincoln in 1863, but then was changed in terms of the date by Franklin Roosevelt. And he changed the date from the latest Thursday in November to the next to last Thursday in November. And he was hoping that that longer Christmas shopping window would boost retailer profits. So there are a lot of reasons why people just aren't interested in celebrating this holiday or celebrating it on this particular day, recognizing Thanksgiving without recognizing the real history of it. So it is completely up to you what you decide. But I just wanted to give you some pagan background and some pagan options. So in case, the whole country has this day off, unless, of course, you work in retail and service industry. But a lot of people have this day off and are getting together with their family. So if the origins of Thanksgiving in the Americanized version don't sit well with you, maybe you want to adopt this pagan version and pagan ideas instead and celebrate a holiday from that aspect and that standpoint, so you can still get together with your family and enjoy the day. There's actually quite a few pagan holidays that Thanksgiving, general ideas of Thanksgiving could have stemmed from. And I think we are well aware of that. The entire Wheel of the Year cycle is based on ancient harvest seasons, particularly in the Northern Hemisphere. So a lot of Thanksgiving and harvest season traditions stem from various holidays along the way, celebrating all the points of that harvest. And we especially know that Lammas, Mabon, and Samhain are considered the three harvest celebrations on the Wheel of the Year. And as we've also talked about, the Wheel of the Year is a modern construct, so those three particular holidays come from different traditions. But regardless, there are many civilizations of the past that had their own versions of Thanksgiving along the way, sometime in the year, usually in the fall after harvesting all of the crops. There is a Roman holiday that was celebrated in early October that was called Cerealia. That is Cerelia. So if I'm not pronouncing that correctly, you could still look it up. And that was a holiday that included feasting, of course, and giving thanks to the Goddess of the Harvest, Ceres. And I have to say, if you are familiar with Chicago, if you have been here a few times, if you live here, you probably know about this. But the only reason that I think that I am pronouncing Ceres correctly is because there is a bar in the Chicago Board of Trade called Ceres that we used to hang out at a lot in law school because they make very strong drinks. So I highly recommend Ceres Bar and Cafe inside the Chicago Board of Trade. So if you've never been there, or if you have, let me know in the comments. But that's the only reason that I think that I am pronouncing Ceres correctly. Anyway, that was in ancient Rome, and in ancient Greece, they had their version. Of course, those pantheons are very similar, and that was in honor of Demeter, who was their goddess of harvest, agriculture, and particularly corn. And then, of course, on the Celtic and Anglo-Saxon side, that was Lammas, Mabon, and Samhain. There was also a autumnal feast in England that was called Harvest Home, and that was believed to have been derived from these ancient Celtic festivals of Lammas and Samhain. But Harvest Home was the Christian version, and that was a 3-day feast, and it began with a church service and then a communal dinner. The date of Harvest Home varied. It depended on when the final autumn crops were harvested and brought in through the town. But apparently these parties started to get wild and very unchristian-like, and they were described as unrestrained riot and excess. So that is one of the reasons that the Puritans who came to America shunned Harvest Home. They said that it had pagan origins and got way too crazy, so they were not celebrating that. And they instead latched onto this idea of American Thanksgiving. All that said, if you have a problem with the American colonization version of Thanksgiving, you don't feel like celebrating that this day, there are other holidays that you can trace it back to. It is a little late to be celebrating a harvest season in November. I don't know about you, but it is snowing here in Illinois. So and let's not even talk about what happened in New York, 6 feet of snow. So that is a little late to be considering like part of the harvest season, but you absolutely still can adopt it and make sort of your own holiday based on these ancient traditions. And especially if you have a pantheon that you particularly connect with, every single one of them has a god or goddess of agriculture and corn harvest, all of those things. I just mentioned Demeter being associated with corn, but there are a lot of other deities that are associated with corn as well. It is one of the symbols across many different cultures, and especially important to Native Americans. And the other, big symbol of Thanksgiving that we always see is the cornucopia, which is that basket. It's like a horn shape, and you usually see it on Thanksgiving tables, and it's filled, like overflowing with all of the sort of things that are associated with this time of year. So all of like pumpkins and gourds and corn usually flowing out of the basket. And that has longstanding traditions from ancient Greece and ancient Rome. And it comes from the Latin word, so cornu means horn and copia means abundance. So it's called the horn of plenty, the horn of abundance. There are a few ancient stories surrounding this horn. One of them is from ancient Greece, and it was said that a goat pulled off his horn to offer it to Zeus, and it was a magic horn. It would refill indefinitely with food, so Zeus would never go hungry. And to give thanks to the goat, Zeus made the goat's image in the night sky, and that is the constellation Capricorn. The cornucopia is also in ancient Rome and used to represent Ceres and the goddess of luck, Fortuna. You can see it in symbolism all over Rome in statues and money. The turkey as well has also been a longstanding symbol of fertility and abundance. So there are a lot of correspondences that go along with Thanksgiving that have nothing to do with the Americanized version other than they stole the symbols from the Native Americans. So there are a lot of ways to celebrate and incorporate those things without celebrating the pilgrims and instead giving thanks to your ancestors, deities, and of course the land and animal spirits around you, because the fact of the matter is we are in fact here now, so it is important to recognize that fact and the history and respect and honor that connection with the land. That's everything that I want to share about pagan Thanksgiving. I hope you all enjoy your holiday and your extended weekend. If you have time on your hands this weekend, do not forget to fill out the survey. So I talked about that in an earlier episode this month, but there is a survey for both Patreon and for the podcast itself. And then the podcast survey includes questions about YouTube. So that is for 2023. And it's 2-3 simple questions about what you would like to hear about on the podcast, what you'd like to see over on YouTube. And that just helps me collect ideas, know what you guys are sort of looking for, where your witchcraft practice is growing, and the topics that you might be interested in. And also, there is a section that if you would like to be a guest, there is a part where you can leave your contact information and let me know sort of what you want to chat about. So absolutely fill that out. Let me know. I have started compiling the answers from that, which is great. You guys have given so many ideas. A lot of you have given like really long and detailed answers. Like I really appreciate that. You have so many ideas and things that you want to hear about. So I appreciate not only you listing the ideas, but the fact that you even want to hear about them from me when you have so many, other content creators that you could listen to. The fact that you come here every Wednesday, I really appreciate. So my thanks goes out to you on this day. I will have those linked in the description, the show notes and everything, and over on witchwednesdays.com, which I think is back up and running. I was having some trouble with the website and the whole WW thing. I don't know why, but I think it's back up and running and like everything's fine. But if it's not, let me know. So everything will be there so you can find it easily. So that's everything that I have for this week. I will see you next week.
Need even more? Subscribe to Patreon and YouTube for exclusive bonus content. Order a themed witchcraft box every month through Witch Wednesdays on Etsy. Be sure to follow on Instagram at Witch Wednesdays Podcast. Find all these links and more at witchwednesdays.com.